Good afternoon, everybody. We're back at it working on the old MR2 Spider today. Welcome to Mr. Fixit's Frame and Body Repair, where if it's good enough for the DMV, it's good enough for me. So this isn't the way that you should probably go about fixing your race car, but it's the way we're going to do it here today. I've got the old frame machine ready. I've got a come along. I've got a car with no rear wheels. We're going to go ahead and take these rear fenders off and all so I can see in there a little bit better and make sure we have good support on our support brace and all that stuff. So let's just go ahead and start tearing this back half of this car off so we can see everything. And then we're going to get to doing some front yard frame repair. Going to be starting on this driver's side, getting this rear fender off. I was most interested in this one because I could tell it didn't look quite right. It had some Bondo work at the top, so I wanted to know what was going on there. So had to get that thing off and get all the plastic out from under it. This one takes a little more time because you have to get the gas door and all that out. But got all that off. There was only one bolt in the bottom of it, which also was probably should have been a good sign. Then moved over to the other side. And I will tell you, there's 3 bolts in the bottom of these things. Neither one of mine had all 3. One had 2 and one had 1. And they were all just rusted so bad. They did eventually come out, but they all broke off, so I'm going to have to figure out a way to fix that in the future. Get this side the rest of the way off, snatch off that antenna there, then we can assess the damage. So we found more damage. Check that out. Not good, folks. See how this is punched in all the way along this line. Now the good thing is, it would appear this panel right here, this jamb, is just one piece. So I can drill out all these remaining spot welds that are still in here, take this piece out, replace it with a new one, and I in theory could replace this one too, but I don't think I'm going to need to. I know it looks bad right now, but trust me, from all my years in auto body repair, this isn't that bad. I can easily hammer all this back out, straighten this up perfectly once I've removed this piece, and that's my plan. That way I can clamp onto the outside here and pull all this back straight, get it dead right, get this down here right, and it'll just be much easier to get everything else right. Now don't worry, we're still about to pull the back half of this frame right now, but just to show you, this is what it's supposed to look like over here. Look at that. See how nice that edge is right there, how it just comes around to the back. That's what we're going to make the other side look like. So I guess this is going to turn into a little deeper dive than I had originally planned, but hey, what can you do? When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. So here's my setup. I got my tractor right here with the bucket, holding that 6x6, chain around the rail, straight on up to a come along. So this isn't the most scientific thing, but I think it is going to work. I'm going to pull it once this way, swap the chain from the top, pull it again, and then we'll go for the other side over there. I think this is going to be pretty straightforward, pretty easy, so let's give it a shot. This method actually was effective, just not effective enough. If you had a larger come along, it might help, but I think the whole setup just wasn't quite right. However, this will come in handy in the future when I go to pull out the other dent in the side. I think this is going to be the perfect way to get it out, especially once it has all the wheels and tires on it. It'll just make things a whole lot easier. So time to try something new. Alright, so the come along just wasn't quite doing it. It did move it a little, but not as much as I needed it to. And then it started to rain, and I was dripping in sweat, so I said, well, let's just go ahead and bring in the big dogs. So, my plan now is to take ye old 4x4. I'm going to put this chain around it. I've got this side strapped to the tractor, and I'm hoping it weighs enough not to move. I don't think it does, but we'll see. I got the blade in the ground and everything, so we'll try that. And so I'm just going to go ahead and back the truck up to it, hook it up, we'll give it a light tug, and we'll see how far that gets us. That actually did really good. Let's go for one more. right, got it back down on the ground. And this is what we're working with. Look at that. Perfectly straight rail. Same thing over here. Nice straight rail. This one, the very end is a little crooked. I'm gonna have to sledgehammer it just a hair, but it was not enough that I could actually pull it, because if you look down the rail, it's all straight other than the very end of it. This is the side that I was really worried about, and it actually straightened out really good. Look how curved those bolts were just to get the bumper on it. So we'll have to bend those back now, but now this is all perfect. And the spot where that frame rail was buckled came out nice. So that all just looks a whole lot better. Obviously I got to straighten all this up, but that's not hard. I can do that by hand. These are just flimsy little brackets. But overall, looks pretty good. It's a lot more square now. I'd have to show you with my angle finder, but this shock tower is also pitched up quite a bit more. It was folded in, and when I pulled that rail, it helped to straighten the whole thing up quite a bit. So now I can put a bar in between them to maintain proper spacing. And yeah, it just all came together pretty good. New day, new method. Got the biggest sledge that I have. I think it's a 12-pounder. And I'm going to use that to make the last little bit of movement that we need on this end over here. I'm afraid if I snatched it, I'd move it too far. And this one over here, I might even give it a whack, but it's so close. I don't even know. It might already be close enough, but we'll see what we can do. Moved a lot more than I thought it would. And I might should have gone with this method from the beginning. Look at that. Wow, that was stupid effective. Like one more hit and I think we're good. There's one more good one on the top side. Okay, that worked really well. Let's give the other side one hit and I'll show you what it looks like. Man. One more on the bottom. That's all she wrote, folks. Look at that. Get all these seams straightened up just with some grips right now. I'll use a longer clamp later on. That way everything looks clean, and let's look at what we got. Look at that. Perfect. Perfect right down the line. Looking good. Can't really beat that. Same with this one. Nice, straight, looking good. In a good spot. I even got them twisted because one of them was pitched a little bit. I got it tilted back upright. And it's kind of hard to tell on camera, especially because the whole thing's at a slant. But I did get out my tape and measure and make sure everything was square, and it's pretty close. It's within a 1/16, and I think that is close enough. The main thing is the alignment of these hubs to the front, because you know you don't want it to be dog tracking or like crab walking, so to speak. But if you can see, those are almost flawlessly aligned now, which is what's really important. This whole shock tower came up an entire 7 degrees, so it was pitched in quite a bit. It moved 7 degrees, and that's before you know, moving it over to this location. Every time I would check it, it would be a little further over, and you know, it's kind of hard to monitor it because I couldn't use an angle finder. I had to use a measurement, but from what I can tell, it moved a full 7 degrees. So that's a lot better. Everything just looks a lot more square. The whole thing looks better, especially if you look at it down from the top. Everything just looks more squared over. Everything's shifted over. You can really tell it in this support how it moved over, because it used to be twisted pretty bad, and now it's much straighter across. So all in all, I would say that this is a major win. I still have the damage over here in the side, which is going to require a little more thought and care. My plan is, I got on the internet last night trying to find this piece. Of course, this is a 20-year-old car. They don't sell those. So what we're gonna do is, we've already got this nice little seam cut here. I might even have to cut it bigger, but I bet it looks like they cut a decent chunk out right here, if you can see. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick my slide hammer in there. I'm gonna use it to pull all this out till I get it all just how I want it. And then I'll weld the seam back up with a fresh piece of sheet metal. And that's my game plan on that one. I don't really know what else to do. I gotta get the giant slide hammer, and then we can get that out. But that's not crucial to the engine going in. But it does have to be fixed before we can start ripping around in it. I'm also going to pressure wash the whole back end and just get everything all nice and clean. And other than that, I think that's about it for the frame repair, as we'll call it. But got some good progress done. I know it's not as much as maybe anticipated, but hey, we're well on the way. And now we can start working on our engine a little bit, get all this cleaned up, get everything ready to go in there. I got to modify a brake booster line and a few other things over here, and that'll be all in a future one, but we're on the way. I appreciate y'all for watching. Thank you for suffering through all this. Don't worry, they're about to get a little more exciting coming up here soon. And we just thank you all for watching. We'll see you again real soon.